Just outside of Custer, South Dakota. Magnificent monument being carved out of a mountainside. Who's been there? Crazy Horse? Anybody in the room? Right? Yeah. If you go there today, you'll see the mountainside being carved, but that's about it. There's supposed to be a university, a medical facility down at the base of this mountain for the Native American community. It's all kind of depending on budgets. Some of it's under construction, some of it is still there. But if you go there today, what you will see is a little dusty museum. In fact, you can see the corner of the roof there up at the left top of the slide. If you walk around that museum, you'll see all kinds of artifacts, Native American artifacts. There's tomahawks, there's arrowheads, there's beaded pouches, there's all kinds of these things. If you walk around far enough, you get to a corner where you see an exhibit that looks like debris. There's a hide. There's a bunch of stuff on the hide. There's a broken pipe. There's a little beaded pouch. Some of the beads are missing. There's a hole in the pouch. There's an arrowhead with a chip out of it. There's a bear claw that's, kind of ragged. And you think, oh, this is just where they put everything that they are getting ready to throw away. Until you read the caption, where it says, the sacred bundle. As Native Americans had a ritual around the sacred bundles. They'd bring them out at the campfire every night. They'd open them up, they'd take out the pieces, they'd pass it around to everybody. They'd talk about the man or the woman that had to do with that particular item. They'd put it all back into the bundle, and it was the job of someone in the tribe to guard the sacred bundle, because the sacred bundle held the history of the tribe. Now, you and I have sacred bundles too. And every time we stand up in front of a group of people, they see what it is. It's who we are. It's our identity. It's our past. It's actually some of the things we were just chatting about. It's where we come from. It's our particular take, our particular value system. Your audience, more than almost anything else today, wants to know that about you. Who the heck is this person? Why are they standing up here? What makes them think they're an expert? So we're going to talk a little bit today about your sacred bundle. That's your authenticity. It's who you are. It's how you show up. There is nothing more important for you to get across to an audience than your soul and who you are. And I call it your sacred bundle. So let me share a little bit of mine with you. And while I'm doing this, I want you to draw your own spidergram and put a word in the center of that. This is mine. And as I share this with you, probably your story is going to start to come out. Because when I coach you and when you step up here, I want that to be evident to the people in the room. And we're going to pretend like this is a big group, small group, whatever we need to pretend like it is today. All right? I started out my career in East Los Angeles in the barrio. I was teaching English as a second language. I was going into the schools. That was before English as a second language was a course of study. In fact, I wrote some of the original textbooks or helped to write those. I am not an academician, but I had my undergrad degree in Spanish. Then I moved to Washington, D.C., where I taught in the language schools during the de-escalation of Vietnam. Again, I was teaching English as a second language. Only this time, it was to people that were coming to the United States without language skills, without job skills, coming here because they didn't have options. I remember the day that an Asian woman came to the door of my classroom. She came to about here on me. She was dressed in native garb. She had a band around her head, piercing little black eyes. I have no idea how old this woman was. She steps into my classroom. She's looking all around like this, just like a little kid at Disney World. Her eyes land on me. She looks me up and down, turns around, and whistles. And then she disappeared. I never saw her again. In came her husband, brother, couple sons, nephews, the men. But she was the matriarch. And if she didn't approve a teacher, nobody was coming into my classroom. So the men came. I taught them English. She went home where the women were. because the guys were going to be the ones getting the jobs. Now here's the deal. Those folks did not have a home to go back to. They had to make it in the United States. What was my job? To connect them to their new culture. Then I moved to Portland, Oregon, where I taught diesel mechanics. Just going to let that sink in for just a second. I actually taught the reading and the math at the community college in Portland, Oregon, that helped people who were coming back to school, who'd been injured on the job, to be able to get another job because they couldn't work on the big rigs anymore. They had to get the kind of job where they could work in the back offices of a diesel shop. So just think about this for a second. You have a very competent mechanic who has always worked on the big rigs, out in the mountains, loves it. All of a sudden he's got a back injury, he's got to go back to school. What do you think my audience was like? I was the only woman there too. There was no men, there was no women in that field. It was a very, very male-dominated field. Very resistant audience. But you know what? I had something to connect with them that was going to help them with their future. Once they figured that out, they listened to me. And I was able to, I watched a man come into the diesel shop one day and put his hands on a Cummins engine and diagnose it better than the instructor. He was a deaf mute. He couldn't speak, he couldn't hear, but he knew engines. Amazing skill. What did I have to do? Teach him reading and math and writing so he could succeed in the next step of his career. Was he angry? Yeah. Do I know sign? No, not any more than I know Vietnamese. It doesn't matter. It's about the connection. And as human beings, we can connect. So do you see why that word is in the center of my circle? It doesn't matter if my audience is one person, if it's 10 people, it's about connection to me. Then I gained a great deal of weight, walked into a Weight Watcher classroom 90 pounds heavier than I am today. Lost the weight, became a Weight Watcher lecturer, became a Weight Watcher manager over the whole Western United States. Now who am I dealing with? Who's my audience? Mostly women, although I met my husband there, so never underestimate the power of certain things in your life. Actually, there's nothing that's more humiliating than feeling like you have to pay money to lose weight. It is something that we feel like we should be able to control without anybody telling us what to do. Well, some people can't. So my audience, again, was resistant. But I had 30 minutes to connect with that person about the rest of their life. That's it. Then when Weight Watchers started selling food in the centers, I am not an operations manager, I'm a people manager. I helped start a little company in Boulder, Colorado. Actually, it was started when I got there, but I became the recruiter for speakers at Career Track seminars. And over the course of my career there, I hired and coached 206 of the best speakers in the world. When Career Track was sold in '99, I thought, I'm done. I'm going to start my own firm. I would have stayed at Career Track through the entirety of my career if I'd had that option. But who was I coaching at Career Track? I was coaching speakers. Now think about it. How big an ego does a speaker have? How open are they to feedback? Most of them not very. Professional speakers, all right? Because they already think they walk on water, and who the heck are you? That's not true in academic circles. It is true with professional speakers. So I had to somehow connect with those folks. So as you draw your circle, this is your sacred bundle, this is mine, you've got one too. What word is at the center of yours? What would you put if you were to draw out some of your life experience? Who's got one? A word. A thought.
Well, I'd say connect.
You say the same thing?
Actually, I wouldn't. If you just asked Cole, I might not have. But what I want to impart is all my business experience, not just to pontificate, but basically how to be able to go onward and upward better by not doing the mistakes that I did.
Okay. So learning from your mistakes. And connecting with them in a personal way so that they trust you. Connection's all about trust. And building trust with an audience is just like building trust with another person. It has to be instantaneous. People decide in 90 seconds whether they're going to listen to you or not. Credibility. It's not in your introduction. It's in your sacred bundle that shows up when you step up here. Who the heck is this person? And why am I going to listen to them? What other words come up? Anybody else got one? Think about that a little bit.
Teaching.
Teaching? Okay.
Teacher.
Yeah. Educator. Yeah. Right?
I think mine is, I don't know, innovation is quite the right word, because I'm always sort of trying to break the rules and thinking outside the box, and always thinking of how to do things differently, and
So maybe it's change.
maybe.
Maybe it's challenge. I don't know. Something to think about. You need to know what that is, because when you step up in front of a group of people, they need to see it. They need to see it in your face, in your eyes, in your body language, because it all needs to be congruent.
Yeah.
I believe very strongly in making sure that you connect with the eyes of everybody that's in front of you. I've spoken in front of 400 or 500 people. That's a little tough. You're talking about working with big groups. But you still can connect with people out in your audience and make sure that if you have a camera, you can connect directly to the camera, because that's the people that are watching you. So that's part of connection. And when we have conversations with people, it's one of the things that's going on today, is that so much of conversation is so virtual and so technical that we don't always have the eyeball to eyeball, but people desperately need that and want that, and they want to know who you are.
It was hard for me to get away from Connect, so I was out of there. Because I think, when you're speaking with other people that share what you're doing, that's speaking with experience, but maybe entrepreneurship for me, from creating like little businesses when I was a kid to starting, and we created our whole business concept from scratch. It's not just making soap, it's a whole different concept in family body care. And a lot of these women that we're going to be speaking to have created their whole thing from scratch. It's kind of doing that, and it's their babies. So maybe on that part,
So is it creating something that wasn't there before?
not necessarily that wasn't there before. I mean, people have been making soap for
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But for us, I didn't really get into what our concept is. We actually, when you come into our store, we've got all different kinds of natural bath and body care lotions, scrubs, shampoos. It's all unscented, and then we have 200 fragrances, essential oils that you pick from, and then we create it for you right on the spot. And it's something that we've never seen before. We just kind of came up with it, and it has developed everything from formulas to how to label it to, all of our vendors and suppliers.
Yeah.
So for us, that part was new, but for a lot of these people that have the comments, right, it's mostly, they took a swimming class and their own products.
Okay, so they take the classes, then they make their own products. So they create so maybe it's something about creation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something about, creating something that's not only a business, but something that you are passionate about. I don't know, but I want you to think about what your sacred bundle is and how you want that to show up when you step up in front of people. That's the key here that I'm getting at. And one of the reasons that this is so important is that our world's gotten a little bit complex. And I want to share a video with you now that I think, if you haven't seen it, will kind of blow you away. And I want you to think about the implications of this for you and I when we're a professional communicator. What's the implications of how different our world is today, and therefore how we need to communicate because of it?
One voice is so important. One voice can make a difference.
What did you notice? What struck you? Everybody's happy.
Pushing the envelope.
Pushing the envelope. What's different about communication?
Different forms.
Yeah. Instantaneous. That's what I get. I get to not only watch the Olympics while they're happening, I get to watch wars. I get to watch Arab Spring. Why do you think Arab Spring happened in the first place? It's communication. All of a sudden, somebody has access to the world through a device they can hold in their hand. Everything's changed. You and I have less time now to capture attention than we ever had. Used to be like we had at least, 20, 30 seconds. I heard recently that the American attention span, or Western culture attention span, for the most part, is about 5 to 8 seconds. Hello? Wow. I better not get too long-winded. I better get to the point of that story quickly. TED Talks have taken over. 18 to 20 minutes. If you can't say it in 18 to 20 minutes, you're done. Now, I am a teacher too. So like 2-hour, 4-hour workshops. I used to live in 8. I don't serve my clients with those anymore. I'm mostly doing 4-hour. That's about it. That's about people's attention span max, and they start to get a little edgy after that period of time. Okay? What else? Anything else strike you here?
Communication isn't necessarily with words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's what?
It's now universal without language, because it's visual. We see the phone in Egypt, we know exactly what's happening, we didn't hear a word.
Okay, so you see something going on in another part of the world. You don't have to hear a word. It's not all visual. It's as much, well, it's not all auditory, right? It's as much visual as it is. It's a combination of things. It can't be just one mode of communication. Yeah.
A picture says 1,000 words, just a single picture. And what are all those pictures strung together in a video saying? Faster than anybody.
They're all Google videos that were up this year. They just, in fact, this particular video comes out every year, comes out about the first of the year, and each one is just totally different, picks up the highlights of the year before. But they're incredible, these things. And so what do we have to do for our audiences then? We have to be pretty visual. Now, you are a visual. You're the best visual there is. But if you don't bring a little entertainment value into your program, if you don't bring a little wow entertainment, something new, something a little flashy, a YouTube video, something, I download them and put them right into my slides. I do not ever rely on the internet.
Please show us how to do that. I spent 2 hours last week.
Well, there's some tricks to that, and that's a whole nother seminar. But she's wanting to know how to put those things into the slides. It's a technical piece. I use Macintosh because that makes my life a little bit easier with media. But you do need to know how to do those things, and I can help you with a little bit of that as well. All right, so here's a few new sacred bundles for you, just based on what we've talked about so far. The audience perception of the presenter is much more important than the presenter's perception. It doesn't matter who you think you are. Who do the people in front of you think you are? And how do they know that? Do they know that by how you stepped up, how you looked at them, what you said, what was in your introduction? How do they know that? The story you tell when you start? Never do for the audience what the audience can do for themselves. I want my audience making decisions. I don't ever want to speak anywhere where people are not different when they walk out of the room than they were when they came in. I'm called on to do in the government and with a lot of my clients, I was just doing it yesterday, working with tough teams. Teams where managers are throwing up their hands and saying, I can't fire this person, I got to figure out how to deal with them. Come in and save me, Christy. This is tough stuff. I'm not a shrink. I don't have a big degree. I don't run a mental health clinic. But I can connect with people enough to figure out what the heck they need so that they can be successful. But it's not just that. You got to get buy-in. You know that in sales. Yeah, nobody's going to buy anything unless they decide they're going to buy something. You've got to help them decide that your product is the most, they've got to have it before they leave. How do you do that? That's persuasive versus informative. Yeah, but it's bigger than that. I have to totally trust you, and I have to believe you have something for me that's going to make my life easier. Are we looking for that? Are we looking for the connection points? Are we looking for the ways that our time can be better spent? I can't give you any more hours in the day. But if I can walk into a team and say, by the time you leave here today, you're going to be able to get a good night's sleep tonight, what would that be worth to you? Whoa. If people haven't been sleeping, they're so stressed out, that means a lot. Now that's a big thing to try to deliver on. You have to believe it before you promise it. Make sure that's the case. I'm going to teach you how to start a business that could change your life. But you have to believe that. I'm going to teach you how to start a home business where you can have the values and the qualities that you hold dear and you can work out of your home, but you can still do very well and have some extra money to travel. What would that be worth to you? See, how you frame, how you open up your program is going to make all the difference. What's your message? What do you have that's going to change somebody's life? That's your sacred bundle, okay? And after you're done with me this morning, I want your head to feel like one of those little snow globes that we get at holiday time that's all shook up. You guys are going to feel like, what? Where are we going with this? If that's the case, that's a good thing. You want to take your audiences from here, which is the confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I have no clue what I need to do next, to here. Can you do that? Do they feel empowered when they walk out of your program? If not, why not? And how can you get them there? So as you're putting together your message, You know, people talk about, well, I want to be a motivational speaker. Well, you know what? If a speaker isn't motivational, then what the heck are you doing up there? Forget it. I don't care if you're teaching people numbers. I don't care if you're a government speaker. A lot of the speakers I work with in my cities and counties are going in front of city council. In fact, I was just up in Fort Collins and working with utilities. They got to go in front of city council and they have to pitch a water restriction. Nobody wants a water restriction. I got an engineer guy here who's got to go talk for 5 minutes and convince city council that they need to restrict water. And then here's the message, here's how it's going to go out. That's a pretty important talk. Is he a speaker? He's an engineer. But he has to be confident. He has to step up. And he's seated in front of city council. Who's city council? Politicians with agendas who will trip him up every time they get a chance. And I'm not talking about Fort Collins here. It could be anybody. I was up in Rifle yesterday. So it can be anywhere in this wonderful state of ours where people have a message to get across and they have 5 minutes to do it. They have to believe it. And they can't have their head into their PowerPoint and be looking at the bullets or even have bullets up here. This is for visuals. This is simply to backdrop you. I am taking more words off my slides every time I speak now. It's visual. The words should come out of you. What's up here should be a visual representation or support for what you're talking about. So go back through your slides, take out the words and say, is there a picture out here that would is there a video clip that I could use? 10 seconds, it doesn't have to be very long. That one is very short, the one that I just shared with you. All right, because this is what you don't want. Especially if you're doing data-heavy presentations. So as you watch this next guy, let's just see how many things you can find wrong with this presentation.
I'm very happy to be here today. Now, I have a lot of facts and figures to get through, so you'll have to bear with me. Again, my name is Crocker Jarman, and I am the account executive for the new software application for web cameras. The company is launching next month. I've been with the company for over 25 years and have worked on the following projects: revamping emailing communication, faster software manufacturing, video conferencing upgrades, Jim, you remember that one, and now the new software application coming out next month. Now, I will need to go through all the projected earnings for each quarter based on statistical forecasting. And I'll be doing this by showing you PowerPoint slides and graphs. I know this might not be that interesting to you, but it is something I feel needs to be done for you to fully understand where the company's headed now. Additionally, I'll speak to you about the following topics. Number one, how the new system works. Number two, how we're going to market the new software application. Number three, how the new system is better than the others in the market. Number four, what the company will do to penetrate new.
I gave you 90 seconds of that guy. Some of you wanted me to stop at 9 or fewer. What'd you notice? No eye contact.
He's reading.
He's reading. What else?
He basically told the audience he was going to bore them to that.
Yeah. That you may not find this that interesting. Okay, what about his
Reading all the bullet points in the slide.
reading the bullet points? What's the point of the slide then? It's absolutely pointless.
He also told them, you have to do something.
You have to do something.
Bear with me.
You have to bear with me.
No, I know.
Yeah. Is it any wonder that when people go to conferences, they only want to go to Vegas or Orlando or somewhere fun because they know the conference is going to be as boring as it could possibly be. So when you do a conference breakout and you're interactive and you have some fun and you teach people things, they're thrilled and surprised. And they walk out into the hall and they go, wow, you should have been in there. It's one of the things I love about Twitter. And I put my Twitter handle up, and I'm in my 60s. I put my Twitter handle up when I walk into the room and I say, turn on your phones. No, the other speakers don't do that. What do they say? Turn your phones off. I want the conversation going. I want the Twitter buzzing about the session because I want to see people coming in the door back there who just got a tweet from a friend of theirs going, hey, Chrissy just said that. You should come in here. Cool. And I can tell if they're on. Now, do I put myself at some risk? Oh, yeah. Somebody doesn't like something you said, that's also all over the net. But I'm a risk taker. I couldn't be an entrepreneur if I wasn't a risk taker, so I'm okay with that. I think the benefit outweighs the potential problem. But we have, if I walked into this session and would there be tweets going on about this guy? Oh geez, bring some extra coffee in here when you come. I got a seat saved for you, or something, right? Because it's just absolutely painful. So, if you open the first page of your handout, I have a couple of ways for you to analyze yourself. Then we're going to do something else with this. I've given you a few objectives for what I have in mind for us to do today, but since we're a nice small group, we can talk about what's important to you. I want to help you understand your personal style and how to use it, because your personal style is different from everybody else's. I want to help you discover how to engage people just a little bit better, how to create visuals, stories that land, crisp openings, crisp closings, and finally, develop a plan to connect this to everything you do. So, jot a few notes down at the bottom of that page. What you deliver, how you deliver, what your autopilots are. What's an autopilot?
What you do without thinking.
Like, or a certain way you stand if you tilt, or certain things you do with your hands if you don't use them appropriately and they're stiff. Ways you walk, ways you sit, whatever you happen to do when you're speaking that is without thinking that you'd kind of like to break, if you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I will help you with that. Because I'll see it. What you'd like to change. What it is about your speaking you'd like to change. So this is a little bit of a self-assessment. Only going to take a minute to do this. Just jot down a few things here. Because what we're going to do now is that I'm going to have, as many of you as want to practice with this, step up and tell us some of your strengths as a presenter. What are your biggest areas for growth? Some of the things you just reflected on. And I will coach you. I may even stop you as you're up here and work with you just a little bit. So you're talking about yourself, telling us a little bit about who you are. So you're stepping into the limelight a little bit and giving us a little of your sacred bundle. So who wants to start? You want to start? Okay.
Do I need a microphone?
Yeah, probably for the video. Yeah, the sun is interesting, so you're gonna, yeah, there you go.
My name is Eve Fisher, and what would you like? How should I start?
Tell
You
us a strength as a presenter and something that you would like to change.
Try not to look at the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I think my strength as a presenter is I've done a lot of it as a teacher and instructor, and starting with Toastmasters, I've done some table topics. So I understand some of the basics in terms of presentations, but I still let my natural nervousness until I kind of warm up to the audience and I kind of take a breath, and then I'm like, oh, it is a friendly audience and they do like me, and I can make a good impact. I still fall back, especially technology, that's why I ask. It becomes a burden to me because then all of a sudden I become less natural, and it makes me really self-conscious, and then I kind of withdraw into my more shy, like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me self. So I have to I kind of double clutch a lot. I try to avoid ums, but I'm double clutching, and part of it is that going back and forth, like, oh, I'm kind of, people are looking at me, but yeah, but it's just no different than teaching, and I can be a teacher, and then I can,
all right.
then I can kind of.
Okay, so I want you to stand in one spot because they've got some movement going on. And by the way, it's always tough. I know. It's always tough to be the first one to get up. And your feet are equidistant from your knees, from your hips, from your shoulders. This is your grounded stance. Now, you don't have to stay there, but you go back to there. Okay, so that's your grounded stance. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to start again and just start talking to us. And I want you to deliver one sentence to one person, not me. Deliver one sentence to one person and then move on to the next person as you're speaking. So it's a connect for a sentence and then another person connect, another sentence, another person. Okay, so it's enough so you kind of get a little nod from them and they see you, they actually see you and they see your connection with them. So just tell us a little bit about your background or something you like to do. You can talk about anything that you're real comfortable with here, and have a conversation with one person at a time. So try that.
A lot of you already know I'm here, so I really enjoyed kind of hearing, and unfortunately I missed some of the introductions, hearing why some of you are here. But what I really want to do, and what I just value this workshop so much, because I always, I really want to learn from each one of you as to why you're here, and I think it's so important to, learn from an expert. But I think we all have something to share, and even if you're just learning about, how to give a great presentation, I think obviously everyone brings something already that makes them unique. And so
Okay, let's stop right there. Good. What did you all notice the second time as she was speaking versus the first time? Tell her what difference you saw.
Straight up.
Yeah, we didn't move us around as much.
So how'd you feel about the message as a result
Seemed,
of what I asked her to do?
more natural and more connected.
More connected, more relaxed, all those kind of things. It's awkward to hold a microphone. I hate those things. Yeah, but it's there, and the benefit is then that someone else can hear you. So always think about, why am I doing this? What's the point? All those kind of things.
do you prefer the clip-ons?
Yeah, clip on or over the ear, it doesn't matter. Something I don't have to mess with because I carry this. So, and this is my, I need that. So I don't want to have that extra distraction. All right. So now, keep talking to us for another couple seconds. I'm putting you on the hot seat, but I'm going to do that with everybody. And I want to see a little more facial gesture. I want to see smile. I want to see as you're talking. And also a little more vocal variety, the voice pausing, going down, going up if you get excited about something. So maybe tell us about a great trip you took or something where you could put, some excitement into it, or tell us about something really fun that you've done. Anything.
Well, what I'm looking forward to most right now is in a few days, for the first time with my new boyfriend. We've been seeing each other for 4 years. My newest boyfriend, I should say. I am going to go back to my college reunion. And yes, I'll admit it's my 25th college reunion. But it's back in New England, and he's never been there. And so I'm going to have a great time. We're going to, first of all, go to Western Mass. Has anyone been to Western Massachusetts? New England? It's a beautiful area of the country. And then, because he's seen the West Ocean, he's seen the Pacific Ocean.
All right, if you were really going to tell this story, here's how I would start that story. I would say, you ever been to Western Mass? Don't say who's been there, how many of you have been there. Have you ever been to Western Massachusetts?
Why?
Why would I do it that way?
Right.
Because what I'm doing is having a dialogue with you. And if I say how many of you, that separates me from you, and then and I come from teaching background too, so I get that. So, how many of you, so who does this? So the teacher, we ask the questions, they raise their hands, they're not engaged. If I say, you ever been to Massachusetts? You ever been on the shore of Massachusetts? I'm gonna find somebody in a room of 5 or 6 people, somebody who's been there. Isn't it cool? The wind's blowing, it's cold. I'm gonna get to go there in a couple weeks. Okay, so you took me there first, And then you're going to tell me about the boyfriend, the trip, right? Because your audience wants you to take them. They want you to take me there. They want to experience it with you. And quite frankly, they don't care that much about our own personal life. They don't care. So minimize that and create the experience. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. It's much more powerful, right? Okay, good job. Good job. Give her a hand. Woohoo! This is hard. So who else wants to sit in the hot seat? Come on up.
I'm trying to memorize everything you just taught. Hi, I'm Bob Williams, and an inventor entrepreneur. I've done a dozen, maybe two, who's counting. And I'm doing some now, as a matter of fact. Probably never will stop. But enough about me. How many of you have ever wanted to start a business? Or started a business? Or invented something? Or want to invent something? Or found a problem that you can solve?
I'm going to have you do exactly the same thing I just suggested to her. I'm going to have you step up and say, have you ever started a business and you had no clue if you were going to end up in the poorhouse or if you really could make it fly? Has anybody ever, have you ever, who's done that? Ever start, just talk to me. Just jump right into the content. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because all of a sudden then we're going, yeah, this is pretty scary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm Bob. See, that's where you put in your name. After.
Okay.
You do the story first. I'm Bob. I've started 12 businesses.
I wrote
whatever.
Curiosity in there.
Yeah.
I did say enough about me.
Yeah, and that's good.
But no,
That's good. But I'm saying flip it even more.
Yeah.
Flip it. Let's play with this. This is a great place to play. Okay. And I'm taking you out of your comfort zone, but just talk to me first and then tell me who you are. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So just try that. Try that on for size.
Have you ever wondered and ever thought about starting a business and worried about whether you succeed or fail? But if you really wanted to, or just thought about it, well, that's one of the reasons I'm here. Because I've done that and made a lot of mistakes. My name is Bob.
Okay, what do you guys think? Yeah, that kind of felt a whole lot better because now it's authentic, it's real, you're taking me there. Remember this 5-second thing? We got to pull people along even faster than we did before. We don't have time. I don't even like introductions, I mean, they're okay, but for the most part, let the audience figure out who the heck you are by how you start and what you say,
Well, that's a singer.
Yeah.
How'd you learn that?
Oh, somewhere along the way. Yeah, but just take me there all of a sudden, okay? All right? And be careful with your hands, Bob. Make sure that you're grounded in your stance. Hands at your sides, even though you feel like a 2,000-pound gorilla with your hands hanging down here. They get real long all of a sudden. This is the natural place for them to be. So yeah, and we fiddle and we do all kinds of things with ourselves. So just get comfortable with your hands at your sides because that's where they belong most of the time. Gesture needs to be totally congruent with what you're saying. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't do it because it's distracting. And if you're in front of a big audience, your gesture needs to be bigger. I can go like this in a small room. I've got to go like this in a big room. So it's, my gesture needs to be bigger. If you're on a big screen TV, which you are in a great big audience, then it's like television. Television picks up everything. So it picks up every facial gesture, every smirk, every scrub of the nose, everything. So we become extremely self-conscious about some of that little stuff. And we need to when we're on camera because it really shows up. Yeah, okay.
How do you practice, or can you see yourself as well? I mean, when you're being projected for an audience, can you see yourself, or how do you handle that, or how do you practice for
videotape yourself before practice. And I'm not a fan of scripting, but I am a fan of videotaping. I think it's really important so you can see yourself and how you move. Have somebody else videotape you because we are our worst critics. We watch ourselves on video and we go, I can't believe I did that. I cannot believe I said that way. What? But it's a great tool, absolutely great tool. All right, okay. You want to give us some more, or is that?
I had one other line. I can't remember. I'll try one time.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered if you would like to start a business? If you have started a business, and are you going to make it or not make it? Success or failure? Inventions? Problem solving? Who hasn't done that? Well, this is what it's all about. I just lost my train of thought. I didn't say that. Princess.
You can get to do it. You can do this as many times as you want to, and that's why the videotape is great, because you can watch yourself and go, oh no, I didn't like that. And here's what I would say about what I just saw: too many words. Less is more. Less is more. So your launch here and your start is: have you ever wanted to start a business and you really weren't sure if you were going to make it or not? Didn't know if you had the capital? Was your family going to support you? I mean, bring out the stuff that like wrenches our gut as entrepreneurs. Oh my gosh, I have no insurance, or whatever. I mean, take us there.
Well, what you were just saying there was connect, because if I hit one little hot button, or a hot button that hits everybody, then you've connected.
Exactly.
Have you ever wondered about starting a business? By yourself, with someone? Too many words. Have you wondered about succeeding or failing? Have you ever thought that you had inventions or ideas?
Okay, then turn it into the question. Ask only one "have you ever," and then say, do I have enough money? Are my partners gonna stick with me? Can I make this work in this economy? Start asking some questions that are going through our minds. See what I'm saying?
One curiosity question and then some
Yeah, yeah, and actual questions. So, do I have enough capital? Can I pay my rent? I mean, just get down and dirty with it. Is this a right market? Have I thought this through? Is my partner going to run off with the bankroll? I mean, those are the questions people ask. So get ahead of that. Kind of get inside, pose the question and then get inside of it. There's so many ways you could do this. You see where I'm taking him here?
What you're saying is I'd have to categorize it to study. I have to organize it, because I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
cerebral.
And my suggestion to you, because I do this too, is I conceptualize what that could look like, and then I write it all down, and then I forget the script. I kind of go with my gut, but by writing it down, I've cemented it in here. And I don't take notes up there, but I know where I'm going with it. So write it down, because that's a way to kind of connect it to here's what I want to say. And then wordsmith it, craft it, come up with these questions. And remember threes. He's going to want to ask 3 questions. It's always an odd number, and 3 is the key to comedy. It's the key to, getting attention from people is in 3s. So he's going to want to ask 3 questions. Not anymore.
I was just going to categorize it. What you were just teaching was that first I raise curiosity, then I relate with ideas that might trigger, that might connect.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
And then you got everybody with you. And then you can say, good morning, I'm Bob. See, and then that's kind of like, they might laugh at that a little bit. And I've been through this 12 times. I want to make sure you don't make the same mistakes I did. That's why I'm here today. Okay? That's where I'd go with that, because that's a powerful message.
Personal story as a secondary.
Yeah, exactly. Good job. Give him a hand.
Good job. Masters is all about clapping, as you probably know.
Yes, I know. You want to give it a shot? Okay. You got.
Okay, so you asked the question, what is my strength as a presenter? And I think I would have to say to that is that I really know my topic. So I've been working in the area of global climate change since 1995, back before people even really knew that this was an issue. So I have a lot of experience in the area, a lot of varied experience in the area. I was an elected official at one point. I was the mayor of Netherlands, which is outside of Boulder. And it was interesting because I was able to incorporate the technical knowledge that I have on the topic into the work of the city council. Really helping the town think about sustainability and where it wanted to be in 20 years. Really thinking about things like energy efficiency and how that can not only help the environment but also help the town in terms of saving money. So I feel like I've got some good messages to get across. I'm just not sure I do it.
Okay, you are very articulate. Do you see how grounded she is? She's just standing there. She doesn't feel like she needs to move. You're opening your mouth, which is something sometimes I have to coach people on. You get that. And when you are speaking, you're opening your mouth more than you are in casual conversation. You're actually moving the mouth. That's a critical piece. And a lot of speakers just end up, especially public officials, and we're just mumbling and we're just carrying on here and just and it's boring. So opening the, you do that really well. I would start off this little talk, not talking about, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about today and all that. That's fluff. It's 1995. What was our environment like in 1995? Who remembers that? I'm not the only one in the room that remembers. I mean, you're ready to have a little fun with us, right? So go ahead and go there and say, so it's 1995. Who remembers environmental initiatives in 1995? What were they? And people are going to go, huh? And now you got to have that in your back pocket and be able to say, here's what they were. But I picked up on that. Sometimes, you know, a number, throwing out a number is a great opener. You could tell us a story, would be another avenue you could go. So picture this. It's the city council, not of Chicago, of Nederland, Colorado. There's 3 of us, or whatever. You know, you could play with that a little bit. And here was my role. Here's something I brought to the table. I don't know. You know, that's an option too. But you can take your story, but take us right there. So just play with that. Just either one of those, whatever you think you're comfortable with, just play with that as an opener. So you step up, and what's the first thing you say? Just go with either one of those ideas or anything else that's come to you while I'm talking.
So picture this. I'm talking to a group of 4th graders last week about climate change. And these are young folks, and it's a fairly technical issue, so I had to, bring it down to their level. So I show a picture of the Arctic Ocean and the North Pole, and I'm talking about the loss of Arctic sea ice. And a little boy in the audience raised his hand and he says, so what's going to happen to Santa Claus when all the sea ice melts? And that's not a question that you expect to hear from an audience. But as a mom, I stepped up to the plate and I was able to assure him that Santa Claus actually has some land underneath that sea ice and that he was going to be okay. But it was a very interesting moment.
Okay. So let's grab the audience with that one. How would we do that? That's a great story. I think I would start with the little boy. Teacher! What's going to happen to Santa Claus? Just jump me right into the story. What's going to happen to Santa Claus? I'm talking to a bunch of 4th graders here. This kid's question takes me way out of, I had my lesson plan all set. And he asked me what's going to happen to Santa Claus. But like many of you, I'm a mom. So I said, honey, Santa Claus is going to be okay. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I work for the EPA. We deal with environmental initiatives in 4th grade classrooms, in council meetings, in public forums. I'm here today to help you understand. You see where I just went with that? That could be pretty powerful, huh? But I want the little boy, because that's who I'm seeing going, with his hand up, or maybe 2 hands up or something. And then take us to classroom, and then take us to you, but pull us right in first. That's the entertainment value. I don't know, it's just an idea. I just want you to ruminate with it. I mean, that's part of what I want to give you today is what I see as possible with the talk that you're going to give, because that's very cool. And people will get an idea, wow, this lady goes and speaks to everybody and she gets it. And she's also sensitive enough, maybe she can answer my question too. See what the audience is doing? You're giving them permission to ask a foolish question. Huh? You're giving them permission. Our audiences need us to give them permission. Okay, so let's close it down here. We're going to take, what, a 15-minute? Is that where we're at? Okay.